How was everybody doing this morning? This is L.A.Kendrick with another tale from the vault of Would You Dare? So, you guys, I'm changing the scenery a little bit because somebody walked in during the initial setting, which is fine, but it kind of ruined the end of it. And again, we do one shot, one take, and then we're out. I know that means I should have let that gone through, but that's not the case, and we're here now. So you know how we do. We talk about everything cryptid, supernatural, extraterrestrial, ultra-dimensional, serial killer, demonic possessions. We try to reimagine what you used to imagine, all right? And you can come and talk here and feel safe in the space here when you're discussing things, okay? So today, what I want to discuss is it was kind of creepy because it kind of hit home. I'm trying to get the camera adjusted. You guys bear with me, and it kind of hits different because I kind of remember what this guy was talking about. We were I'm gonna get right into it. We were at I wanted to say Buffalo Wild Wings, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was a pool hall, and me and a couple of brothers were out, and we were shooting pool, and we were talking about the stuff that I do, and I was like, I'm a writer, fitness trainer, and content creator, and he said he had a story that he wanted to share as we were shooting pool, and I was like, okay, cool, let's talk about it, and you guys know how we do it here. I'm here for whatever you want to bring out and you want to talk about and you want to expose or you want to, share. So what he did was I found it, fascinating that the story that he shared with us, and he said it scared him to no end. And if you guys are old enough, if any of you guys remember, you can Google it for yourself, and you'll see the Atlanta child murders, right? And that was a trying time, man, in the early '80s, mid '80s, and he had said that he was having a good time with the fellas, because back then you used to be able to sit outside and you used to play, and you get dirty, you play hopscotch, four squares, dodgeball, kickball, baseball, volleyball, football. Well, kids got outside and they got dirty, and they didn't mind, getting scuffed up a little bit. And this when you had to be at home before the street lights you came on. No questions asked. And what he had talked about and what he had shared was just, I kind of remember hearing something about it, but I'm not real sure, but I kind of remember hearing something about it. I'm going to have to do some research on it. But he said in his town, there were, and in his neighborhood in particular, there were a lot of, dare I say, how do I word it? Abandoned buildings and homes that were empty. And he said the kids were scared of some of these buildings and these places because a lot of times what you would see is, like lights flashing day or night. And everybody knew that these houses were empty. And at that time, there weren't a lot of homeless people staying in the area or the vicinity. So the kids knew to stay away. The parents made sure that they told their kids to stay away from those houses, because they could collapse or whatever. And the parents probably knew more than what they were telling the kids. But they said they would also see lights and stuff in the sky, and that they would see lights like it's outside of their building, outside of their homes. And he said that they would see like shadows and stuff all the time, right? And they said on some nights, like when it's thunderstorming, and you could see like forms in the clouds, and you could see lights and stuff in the clouds when it wasn't storming and lightning. I was like, okay, man, this is pretty good. So I'm soaking it all in. And he said the kids were talking about it even in school on the lunch breaks and when they were, in between classes. And he said he was about 11 or 12 at the time. He said he had a 6-year-old sister. And he said one day in particular, the kids were talking about it in the cafeteria. And he said that he had gone home with that heavy on his mind because he's taking the school, the bus home, the bus ride home, and he's taking it in. He's taking it in like, dang, heavy on his mind because you know how kids are, your minds wander. And he goes home, plays outside a little bit, goes inside, does his homework, and takes a shower, eats, watches the TV a little bit, and then he goes to bed. But he said later that night, his little sister comes running into his room, and she said, there's a monster in my bed. She's shaking him and waking him up. There's a monster in my bed, under my bed. And he gets his baseball bat, his little league slugger. And he goes into the bedroom to see what it was. And he opens the door. And as soon as he opened the door, he said that something shot out from under her bed, shot through the window, and scurried outside. And it made so much noise that it woke the parents. The parents came in, said, hey, what's going on? What's all that noise? And the kids, and he said, hey, there's a monster in the room. And then they could see where something had, pretty much almost turned the bed over, and you could see track marks going out the window. Now, they could see, that there was a clear evidence of something that was there, he said. He said, but they still doubted him and said, hey, you guys just go back to sleep. And he said his parents looked at each other kind of strange, and they said, just go back to sleep. So he has a hard time going back to sleep, but his little sister sleeps in the same room that he is. She sleeps in the bed with him. And the next morning they get up and they go to school. The mom and dad go to work. They catch the bus. They take the bus to school. Conversation again. They said some of the kids said that there were certain kids throughout the town that came missing. Now, you got to remember the Atlanta child murders was going on or had passed or whatever was going on during that time frame. And he said that he believed, that they were thinking, well, maybe it was something, a child abductor. But a lot of other kids say, ain't no child abductor, something else going on. You know how we are, because I remember that time. And, school lets out, they take the bus, they take the bus home. Same old, but the mom and dad didn't get off work till late. So he and his little sister could play outside as long as they stayed in the yard. The parents had no problem as long as they stayed in the yard. And he said, cool, it was okay, because he had to watch his little sister being big brother. And they were outside roughhousing, wrestling to show who the alpha male was in the neighborhood. And, kids just, boys just being boys and getting dirty and having a good time. While his little sister, he kept a sharp eye on her, and had one of his friends help watch her as well, so that, she's playing with her dolls over in the corner. And so, they've been out there playing for hours. And so he got thirsty. He said he goes in the house, and he said he gets this eerie feeling as he's getting a cup out of the cabinet to get water from the faucet. So he's filling up his, that's when you drink out of the faucet. So he's drinking water, getting water out of the faucet. And he could hear some movement in the laundry room, because the laundry room was like a hallway, but they had the laundry equipment, the washer and the dryer and the dirty clothes hamper and all that. And right across from it was the bathroom. And across from it was the kitchen, which is where he was at. So he could clearly see what was going on in there. And he said he could hear movement. He just looks and he pauses. And then he said he sees a hand come over the top of the washer, which is closest to the door. And it crawled over the top and it looked at him. And if you guys ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he said it was pinkish looking, had those big eyes. He said, and it had that slick blank, that mouth, slick for a mouth, and it had a blank expression on its face. He said it looked at him for a minute and it started scurrying towards him quickly. He said he dropped that glass, broke it, and ran outside. He said he was scared out of his mind. And his friends were going, what's going on? What's going on? And little sister was looking because she knows what that look means. He said, there's something in the house. And his friend said, yeah. He said, I think there's something in the house. And they said, well, let's go check it out. So all the kids, about 8 or 9 of them, they go in. And even though he wasn't supposed to have kids in the house, they go in. When his parents are not home, they go in to see what's going on. And they could see that the washing machine had been moved, and they could see that the glass that he had dropped was broken. The glass had shattered, and he was cleaning the glass up. And the other kids were like, man, there was something in here. Because you could see the footprints on the floor. You could see like weird handprints and fingerprints on top of the washer. as it was moved out. And after he cleaned up the glass, the other kids said, I wouldn't stay in here, man. I'd wait till my parents got home. And not take any butt whooping that they gave me, but I'm not staying here. And he definitely wasn't going to leave him, and he wasn't going to allow himself and his little sister to be sitting in that house with whatever that was there or wherever it went. Because it's either paranormal or supernatural. That's my best estimate, if this story is true. So the kids leave because the street lights are coming on. Again, you have to be at the house before the street lights came on. So the street lights were coming on. The kids start running home. He and his little sister sat outside until his parents got off from work. And when they got off from work, they gave him a scolding. And he was like, I'll take whatever, because I wasn't going to let her be caught up in the house with whatever that is in there. And the dad said, well, what do you mean what's in there? He said, something in there, Dad. It's a monster. I saw it, and it tried to get me, and it was just weird. So the dad and the mom look at each other again, and the dad, had a gun in the car, so he brings the gun out of the car. He's registered, and he goes in, and the mom goes in, and then they check the place out, and they could clearly see the washer had been moved. They could see the fingerprints and the footprints all over the floor. And he said, did you have any kids in here? And he said, no, they stood outside the door looking in to make sure that, because they heard the glass and everything drop, and they were, trying to make sure I was okay. He said, well, I don't understand this. He said, you better not have had no kids in here. And he said, Dad, there was something in here. And he said it hurt him because they didn't believe him. And these are the people that are supposed to protect you when things are going crazy and going south. They're supposed to be the voice of reasoning. And he said that they didn't believe him, and it hurt him to his core. And the mother and father looked at each other again real strange, as if they knew something was going on. He then says weird stuff continued to happen all the way up until he graduated, got out of there, went to college, and did his own thing. He said he couldn't wait to get out of there, and his little sister got out too. He said the mom and the dad, they still live there, and the house is still there, of course. And he said, man, he'd never been so terrified in his life. He said he never figured out what it was. He doesn't want to know what it was. And he rarely goes to that house because he felt like if he had been a split second slower, it would have taken him. Whatever that was would have taken him. And he said he wasn't about to be abducted. I don't know, man. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I tend to believe his story. I don't know why it just struck a chord with me. I believe him. I think he saw something that he can't explain. I think something tried to literally come and get him. We've been hearing stuff like this for forever, right? And we've all been kids and we've all seen stuff. I tend to believe his story. All right? You guys make sure that you hit that notification bell, man. I hear some of you guys have emailed me and said, hey, we're not receiving your notifications. YouTube obviously isn't giving you guys the okay that I'm streaming or I've got, content provided for you guys. We do this because of you guys. You guys make this possible. So please like, share, and support the content, man. Buy the merchandise, buy the books, The Foes of God. It's out. I put a lot of work into it. Great story, ties off the Destiny versus Chaos. I'm trying to get to 500 subs to see what happens at that point. I'm at 165 now. And you guys, it's greatly appreciated if you support the work. Again, we do this kind of work because of you, great storytelling. And back to the story, I just think something happened. You guys tell me what you think. And you know how we do, we're going to close this bad boy out. And you know how we do. Make sure that if you are at home, you check the dark closets, the dark recesses of your home. You make sure if you work late at night or into the wee hours of the morning, you check inside of your car, outside of your car, under your car. Make sure you're mindful of your surroundings. If you work late at night or into the wee hours of the morning, because you never know what's lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. And this has been L.A.Kendrick with another tale from the vault of Would You Dare? And until next time, you guys be safe and fill in the rest. Got a lot of spooky stories coming. Halloween.